Welcome again to another superb tutorial on doing a to-do application using PHP. So this is the original to-do application that we did using just JavaScript, that's HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So today I'm going to try it out and now use PHP instead of JavaScript for data persistence. So we were using JavaScript local storage for data persistence, but now I want to test it out using PHP. So let me make sure I have the two instances running correctly. Just a moment, I'm going to my opt lamp, then htdocs. Like this, I should have to do app 1 and to do app. So this should have been to do app, like this. Yeah, so this is what I want to change from using JavaScript. For example, now you can be able to add some list here, list of to-dos. After adding the list of to-dos, I can be able to walk right into this other side. I say task 1, I say my task 2, I say my task 3. So you might be hearing some background noise, but don't worry about that one. So that's what we had, but now I want to take this one from JavaScript. So for example, here for my tasks here, click done, asks me whether to mark this to do as complete. I say okay, it's marked as complete and its color changes to red. Otherwise, I go to incomplete, I have my two incomplete tasks, and also I go to complete and I have my complete task. I can be able to delete a given task. For example, I can be able to delete my task 2, like that. So this is what we have, but it's working on JavaScript. To get to this, maybe you might be using okay, just a moment. Yeah, so how can you get to this? So if you want to see the initial videos where we did the UI for this task list, you can check out a video with a similar output in this. Just go to the channel Magic Calabash Codes, find the videos, or go to playlist and select a playlist for introduction to web development, I think, or sort, where you will have all the videos. Just find the videos that have the thumbnail of this kind, a thumbnail that looks this like this page. So that's the video. And now this one is for PHP purely. So without wasting much time, because I've given the basics, let's get started. So we are going to use this as our main page. We are going to edit, and this one will be the page that will be holding what we are going to do today. So I'll just delete this. Okay, why do I have even these tasks here? I deleted the one. Okay, I think this thing is failing somewhere, but yes. So it will keep telling us there's no active list, there's no active what. Yeah, let me just refresh and we have something clean. So what are we going to do today? So I'm going to write here to do app in PHP. So let's say you have just your HTML and CSS ready for your to-do app. So I'll just quickly show you how to do it in PHP. So click there. What are we going to cover today? Today we are going to learn about PHP. So let's just say introduction to PHP. Another thing we are going to do here is an introduction to SQL. That is you can say MySQL. Another thing, after introducing ourselves to this, then we are going to learn how to, or what we are going to do is how to add a new list, how to add a new to-do to a given list, select a single list. That's part of the things we're going to do. Update list. Actually, we're not going to really update, but rather let's say just delete a list. delete to do, update to do, and yeah, so I believe that's all we are going to cover today: an introduction to PHP, introduction to SQL, how to add a new list, how to select a single list, how to add a new to do to a given list, how to delete a list, how to delete a to do, and how to update a to do. That is, mark a to do as complete, in other words. So that's what we have. So without further ado, let's get started. And what will be the starting point? Let's go to our code and see the starting point. So this is our code. This is the to do app code. I've already selected it. So the first thing we are going to do is change index.html to index.css. So I'm just going to rename this, not to CSS, sorry for that, but rather to index.php. As you already know, PHP is kind of the PHP is kind of a backend language in most cases, though you can use it as your front-end language, like build an app that contains PHP backend, PHP frontend. For example, whatever we are doing here is PHP backend, PHP frontend. So if I change that one and I come here and refresh my page, I need to just delete it. All right. So since this one is linked to localhost, and we are at localhost actually, so that's why it's kind of reading everything from localhost. I was about to delete them and I recalled, oh no. Yeah, so this is what we are going to follow, but now let's remove the lists here. What I'm going to do here in my code, remove this one close to where I can easily reach it. I'm going to disable JavaScript or the link that does that, so I'll just comment it out. And if I refresh my page, you'll notice now I have nothing, and also this one remains there because this is a different app and this is a different app. Yeah, so after changing to index.php, you can now visit your page at index.php like that. The reason as to why you don't have to do index.php, it's because the index page is always taken as the first page for any framework, I believe, or for any language. Anything that's indexed is marked as the entry point. That's why to do app, just visiting localhost / to do app kind of just loads the index page, because yes, that's the entry page. Anything that's indexed, that's the entry page. So the first thing we're going to do here is to introduce PHP correctly. So we changed our page to index.php, and now we want to write some PHP code. So if we were to write some PHP code, I'll simply walk right into here and do PHP like that. You will notice I've introduced PHP right in the midst. A moment, I check this out. Why is this not formatting? So just kind of format. It's asking for a formatter. I need to install PHP IntelliSense. I think this one, yes. So IntelliSense, this is called IntelliSense. I think that's the one. Let's give it a moment for it to install. Yeah, it is installed. Control Shift I need now to, it's still telling me to install. So let me just right click here and format the document. I'm going to configure and I'm going to select that one. Yeah, this one is going to help me format the document and then PHP code here. That's where I needed it. So the default things we know with PHP, if I want to print something to the DOM, I will just to print echo new list item. That's what I'll do, and close it with a semicolon. If I refresh my page, now you'll see new list item here. So I think I can go live with this. Not sure whether it will work out, but let me test out. I think I need to configure a few things. That's the path to my PHP. A moment. So 5 server might ask me to find So it has given me port 5500. Yeah, so 5 server is going to tell me couldn't not find PHP executable. So let's quickly configure that one. So it's giving us this for Windows, but for PHP, so actually it's kind of easy. So yeah, they are giving us some commands here to use. I'm going to take that command and try to use it and see how it's going to give me the values or the result. So they are telling me to use which PHP. It's user bin PHP. Then I can just configure the file below in 5server.config.js. Copy that. Go to my files here, create a new file, call it 5server.config.js. And whatever that's going to be put there is this. So copy that and paste here. Then I'm just going to remove PHP here for Windows. I remain with Ubuntu like that. So 5 server, I think it has now started correctly. Let's see. So if I come here and reload the page, I'm not yet working the way it should. Get the PHP. Should I stop the server and start it again? Maybe. Stop the server and start it again. It only read this. Not sure why it could read that. A moment. I fix this up. Yep, we are good to go, guys. Now we have configured 5 server. The reason as to why I configured 5 server is to have the live reload, not me going to reload the page each time. So if I change this, I do another echo here. Maybe I do echo a break and say, oh, the BR should be an element, so the text there. And I say here, echo some new list. If I do that and come back here, now I'll have some new list there. But this is sort of on a high level thing, but that's not a true introduction to PHP. PHP has a lot of things. So I just introduced the echo, that's how you print things to the DOM, and you could use another method called print. So print allows you to add in a string, maybe just a string to print. That's for print. I'm going to echo again. I'm going to move my echo there. Then I'm going to use another one called printf. So printf gives us sort of a string formatting. So you can be able to just come there, do that. I do my %s and I say add this to string. So if I save that one, you will see add this to string added there. Okay, I need to add a break here maybe to make these things out well better. Yeah, add this to string. I can come here and add maybe %i to add an integer. So come here, do 23. So if I do that one, I'm getting an error command, comma specify I. Oh, sounds like we don't have I in this. So let me just stick with S first. Yeah, so 23 will be appended to that. So a moment, I see where we are at. So this, we are not using this, we are using this. So that's about the PHP now. So for this, we can say printf, that's its work. I'm going to show you the last one that's called var_dump. Var_dump is another one that can be used to print out objects as they appear. For example, let's say we have a user object. So $user. And we know this user is an array. Let's say this user is an array. I can just come here and say $user. I do, is it that way? Oh, I might be forced to do that. Oh, how do I write to this array? Let me use a normal array I'm used to. So let's say, let's just call these users. The first one we pass in the first user. The next one we do John. The other one we do Do. Like that. Then var_dump can help us now to print out this object the way it is. If I save that and come here, you will see it's an array of 3, a string Dalmas, John, and Do. That's how these arrays work. So, or if you could want to print an object in PHP, that's what you could have done. So what if I want now to literally write something, now interact with the database and do some PHP code, process my form and all those. So this way I'm going to just delete most of this. Actually, I'm going to delete everything here and then now go right into creating our to-do application. That's a simple introduction to PHP, and literally what I showed you is printing things out, not doing much stuff with PHP. I think most of which you learn as we go on. So I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call this folder config, and in this config folder I'm going to add a new file called dbconnection.php. In the dbconnection.php I'm going to write or open the PHP tags, and here we know we are going to write some database connection. So I'm going to start by introducing the server name. Okay, let me just do, so for our connection, it's going to be con equals to new MySQL I. And this MySQL I takes in a few things. The first one is the host name. The next one, it takes in the username. And it also takes in the password. And lastly, it takes in the database name or database. That's the database that you are going to use. Otherwise, we can also, okay, now we don't have the host name, username, and the password. Let's quickly have them. So $host name. So for our host name, we are going to say this one as localhost, because we're using localhost as our host name. That is, whatever is served by SAMP is localhost. Yeah. And even if you were to use cpanel, your host name would have still remained localhost, because PHP is interacting with the localhost. Not if it were to be something like I want to interact with a given online database name, then this could have been something like HTTPS, maybe to a site livesoftware.com and a given MySQL port. I'm not sure the MySQL port, but that's MySQL port. So we'll just say here MySQL port, and that could have been our host. But for now, our host is kind of on our machine, so we can safely say localhost. Next, we have the username. What's the database username that we are going to use? Usually, you could go to your database, that is, walk right into phpMyAdmin here. I'm going to go to the home page here and create users. So the best way you could have done is go to your database name. For example, we currently don't have a database, but I'll show you how to create a user using this interface. And so for this case, our user is the default user called root. And the next thing is the password equals to blank, because root usually doesn't have a password. Okay, in this case, we have not set a password to root. And finally, we have the database. And in this case, the database name is going to be called to-do app. I'm going to add PHP there. So this PHP code, and remember, whenever you are writing a variable or declaring a variable, declaring a variable, you need to start with a $sign. If you are declaring a constant, start with a const keyword. Then you always have your constant in caps lock. Let's say like that. That's our constant. That's how you could have declared. a constant. Otherwise, you don't really have to. For variables, you have to declare them using $sign and the variable name afterwards. So let's proceed. The next part is to check whether the connection was made correctly. And how can we do that one? We are going to write an if statement. If $con, we are going to specifically check for a given key in the connection. It's called connect error. That's the key we are targeting in this case. If there's a connection error, I'm going to die out like this, and whenever I have my die function, it's equivalent to exit, and I'm going to die with a message saying database connection error, like that, and I'm going to do my semicolon there. So we kind of have this file database connection, but we have not really created our database. So that's our next move, to create a database. So I'm going to copy that, walk right into PHP my admin. I could have shown you how to do it using this file down, but literally that's kind of yes, but we shall maybe I'll show you, but for now let's use this interface to create our database. So it's easy, just walk right into this, click SQL, and then the next thing you want to do here is start doing the following code. Create database. The database name is todo app php. You will notice because I have used the minus here, it's kind of, oh no, we can't do that. So I'll be forced to avoid a lot of problems and use an underscore instead. That one will allow us have a todo app php. In short, you know, the work of minus is to subtract, so we can subtract todo app minus php in SQL, and this will mark the introduction to SQL, writing SQL. And in this first case, we are trying to create a database. Like PHP, whenever you completely write a SQL statement, remember to add a semicolon. That is if there are main lines. If there are not any other lines, just leave it alone. So if I click go here, you will notice that it will say MySQL returned empty result, that's 0 rows, and create a database to do. In short, it marked this as done. So what if so where's our todo app? It's called todo app php. So I'm going to reload the page to just see the database. I'm wondering, where is my todo app php database? Okay, so it created sort of it grouped this because they all contain todo app. So it said, oh, have this under that. That's correct. It's no harm. So we have selected our database here as todo app php. So how do we create tables? That's the next question you might ask yourself. I have a database. How do I create a table? So to create a table, you could use this how is it called? This interface. Use passing the table name, maybe lists. That could have been your table. But let me show you the SQL way of doing it. So I'll just go there. In the SQL, I'm going to write create table. This table is called lists. But that's not all. I need to do into brackets like that. And now I need to define the table columns. Our list is going to contain an ID, which is an integer. We can say this integer to have a max length of 11 characters. That's a really large value. And this is also going to be a primary key. ID is always primary key as an identifier of a given list. After primary key, we are going to have it's not supposed to be null. And also we could add this one to auto increment. This way the database can be able to track any new list and give it a given ID, or based on the last one. It does keep this auto increment fields somewhere, so it kind of tracks which is the last entry. Even if you were to clear your database or clear your table, not your database, clear your table, still it will just continue from the last entry. If the last entry was 11, or a 12 or 50, then it will tell you 51 as your next ID. Whenever you do a field or a column ID like this, then I do a comma. It's because I'm adding more fields. Otherwise, for the last field, it's not going to contain a comma. So I'm going to add here name, and this one is going to be a varchar. A varchar, let's say, of 100 characters long. Why do we have name varchar? What's varchar? Varchar in this case, it means it's a variable width, a variable character width that is sort of we are giving it a given or a fixed width. For our case, the maximum will be 100, but it's purely variable. Otherwise, you would have used the char or a text, which does not take in any of this. A char, right? Yeah, char doesn't, but text doesn't also. So yeah, and also for this, because these are the names of this specific list, for example, Facebook, marketing, YouTube, learning SQL, learning JavaScript as your lists or as your list, then it shouldn't be null. I don't think if we have anything else to do there. The next field we are going to do is add a created on as a date field. And whenever we have we can even do, is it date type? Yeah. And whenever we have that, then I can just say here, that's on a created on. I want this to have a default value. Default as a current date. I think this should have been a date field. Yeah. So a date field, current date, and after having my default and all that, then I think my list is complete. I can say yes, that's my list. My list is stable. Then I do a semicolon, and we know we also have to-dos. So I'm going to do create table to-dos like that. And for the to-dos, it's going to kind of contain similar values. I'll copy that, paste it there. But for this case, it's not going to contain a to-do name, but rather a to-do description, which is a varchar of about, let's say, even 300 characters, just long enough, like 1,000 characters. That's too large. And finally, for this, it's going to have another field called is complete. That's to track the complete status. Is it Boolean? Yeah, Boolean. And the default value here is going to be false, like that. Is it bool or Boolean? Not sure. Let's just see out. I like hitting Ctrl S. Then after doing that, we have now two tables, list and to-dos. We can safely say now we have created tables. So click go. So if it's correct, as it's now correct, if it has created as two tables, the first one is list and the other one is to-dos. To see them, just click on your database name like that, and you will be able to see list and to-dos as your tables. Click on lists, then you will notice it has these columns, ID, name, and created on. And in fact, it even wrote you some SQL here to use. It's called select star from lists, meaning select everything from the lists table. And we also have to-dos, which means select everything from to-dos table. That's the fields that we have. So far we can say we have done something. How do we insert new items to our list? So let's, for example, we are in our list table. Just click on SQL. Then you have some buttons here. If I click on insert, it will change everything here to an insert format. So how do we insert? So insert into lists the fields that I want to insert. That's the ID, name, and created on. But specifically for this, I'm going to insert only the name, like that. And I can just delete this and say here Facebook marketing plan as my task list. So I have that. Then if I click go now, you will notice that I have inserted a row of ID1 into that. So if I go to browse, you will notice now I have Facebook marketing plan as my name, list name. if I go now to my to-dos, the ID here, remember, is 1. Oh, something else. I'm sorry, guys, I missed this one. That is, I didn't add something to track specific to-dos for each list. For example, I need to add some column here to tell us which list in which this to-do belongs to. How do we do that? Now that one is easy. Just go to SQL, and here we are going to use a different SQL statement. It's called alter table, and in this case we are going to alter table called to-dos, and we are going to add list key. The type of this list key is going to be an int. Let's give it a max length of 11, and also it's not going to be null, and it's going to come after seat description. I believe it should come after we have is complete. Oh, this list key, let it be the first one after ID. So that's how you could alter table. Now this alter statement is going to alter the table to-dos, add a new column called list key with data type of int and not null after the ID column. That's all. So if I add my column there and click go, you will notice now if I select my to-dos here, you will notice now I have ID list key description is complete. And if I go to structure, you will learn more about the table. That's int description, time, int, date. In fact, everything is kind of very nice so far. So how do we add like a new item? So if I click there, insert again, so we are going to be given insert into to-dos, and you can see they are using backticks here in this case. So, and a backtick is found besides the tilde. So I have ID list key, and I also said here ID is auto-generated. We don't have to add that one. Is complete, it has also a default value of false, so we don't really have to add that one. We only need to alter that one later on or update it in the right time. So I'm going to delete my values here again. The first thing we need to pass in is the key is 1. After doing that, I need to pass in also the description. So here I'm going to say create an ad for live software developer as my description. So if I do that one and hit save, hit go, you will notice saying add to to-dos, insert into to-dos list key description values 1, and that's the value. So if I go to browse again, you will now notice I have one to do here, that is create an ad for live software developer is complete equals to 0 and created on that particular time. So this is another thing I don't really want to say. We only want to take care of this alone, kind of taking the time alone, but let's do that one on a later date, or take that one as your assignment. How could you also track date and the time? Instead, we are only tracking here just date, but we also want to track the time when it was added to be specifics for specifics. So just know how to do that one, either with a column or do some stuff there. So that's now we have been able to add a single item or a single to do. If I go to my list here, you will notice I have Facebook marketing plan for that. That's my list, but I also want to kind of read the to-dos from the other table. So we shall do that one. But if I wanted also to see the number of to-dos within this column or within this table, let's go to SQL and write that one. So we have the select statement. I'm going to write it. I'm going to select L.star, comma. The other thing I'm going to do here is count the number of to-dos as to-dos count. So that's the first statement. I'm going to add here from lists L. In this case, it's kind of renaming the term lists so that I can be able to use L here. I've not really written a count or written everything here correctly, but yeah, it's called SQL. We shall just go down and go back to our account, and here I'm going to say left join. What am I going to join? I'm going to join to do T. At which specific point do I want to join this? I'm joining it to the left, so on. So I'm going to say L.id, that's the ID of the list, matches to T, that's a specific to do dot list key. Then finally I'm going to say group by L.id. This one is going to give this account, and what do we count here? We're going to count just the number of T's, or we can just say count the number of list key here, like that. T dot list key as a column name. Then finally, as a single statement, do a semicolon like that. So if I do that and hit go, you will notice something else. It's saying name, Facebook marketing, created on, and to-dos count 1. You will see it has added 1 here as the to-dos count. What if we also wanted to kind of take care of how many to-dos are complete and incomplete purely without leaving this table? So what we're going to do here, we had the first one count there. So I'm going to move this one to the next line, and I'm going to do a comma here, and I'm going to write a different count statement, and this count statement is going to have a field or a column name called complete to-dos count. So I could write it like that. So how do I count complete to-dos? SQL gives us a very nice way of doing that one. It's called using something called cases. Case when T dot, now this specific is complete, so I can just say equals to 0 maybe. Is complete equals to true should be 1. True is 1 and 0 is false. That's what you could do. Then you could maybe do here 0 and like that. So this kind of really large, but I think so. This is going to, let's run and confirm whether it's running fast before we talk a lot. Yeah, so that one is running, doing complete to-dos count. So this one is another way of counting given items. So for this case is complete, we have 0, I believe. Did it give us 0? Yes, it gave us 0. That's what we wanted. And also we could do the same for incomplete. So copy that and do that. Delete the comma there and say incomplete. Then this one I'm going to do 0. Do I have to do then 0, then 1, or then? Okay. Yeah, I'll just leave it that and click go. So you will see here it's saying we have created a to-dos count 1, complete to-dos 0, and incomplete to-dos 1. It's kind of reading from the to-dos table and checking whether it's complete or incomplete and giving us the right values here. So we can say we have done an introduction to SQL. But one thing I could also add here is, what if we wanted, whenever somebody kind of creates a new list, we want to automatically give them a new to do, like a test to do. So how can we achieve that? So it's also kind of easy. With the PHP-MyAdmin interface, go to triggers. You'll find this empty page like this. Just click on create new trigger. So the trigger name is create to do on list save. So whenever a new list on list create, whenever a new list is created, so we are watching for this table called lists, the time just after event is to insert. Whenever a new list is created, that's the insert event. we are going to write some code here that is going to do something. So we are going to begin, and at the end we are going to end. It's easy. Just write your code here. Insert into to-dos. What are we going to insert? Actually the list key, comma, description, the values. So what are the values? Whenever we are inserting, because this is new, we can just say new dot id. That's the new list dot id, comma, and we can just even say here also we just say test to do for your new list, like this. Then I believe that's it. So I'm going to begin here, insert, and end there. So that's a statement. So let's click go and see whether it's going to process. It's going to say the following query has failed. Create trigger. For the right syntax to use near end. Oh, I think I missed something. So insert into to-dos, this values, that, and this. Do I need to do a semicolon in there again? Yeah. So that one is going to work out well. So it's saying create trigger. In short, this is the statement if you could ever want to learn about such statements. So it's saying create trigger, create to do on list create. That is the name of the trigger after insert on lists. So far up to this point, I think we are together. So create a trigger name after an insert. That's the action. We have insert, update, and delete. Those are the three actions. On list, for each row, that is for each of these rows, begin, insert into to-dos, that new.id, and end. That's our trigger. So if I go to my SQL again, I'm going to just click OK, exit. I'm under lists, so I can just insert. I'm specifically going to insert a single list there, test list, for example, a test list like this, and click go. So if I do that and go to my to-dos now, you will notice a new to-do added for a specific key, that is ID 2, test to do for your new list, and everything is working complete and nice. So you can clap for yourself. So far you have learned a lot. A brief introduction to PHP and a very fantastic introduction to SQL. So what next do we have in store? So after we have done introduction to PHP, now is to move this kind of work to the inserting, the reading, the updating to PHP now. So let's walk right into our file. We only did this, in fact, setting as a new connection to the database, creating the database, and all. That's all we did. Then we need to come to our index.php file here and then now link everything together. And in this case, I'm going to link the first file, that is the connection file to be specific. And actually, I'm going to link it below the doc type there. So do PHP here. Oh, I need to introduce PHP correctly. PHP like this. Close my PHP. And in this case, what am I going to write? I'm going to include the database connection file. It's easy. Just type in include. And for include, you need to pass in the file that you want to include. From this point where we are, go to config and give me database connection.php. That's all what I want. Connect me to the database. If I save this file, this should reload and it's going to say standard error, PHP warning, include config database db connection failed, no such file or directory opt lamp hdocs. So we are having some error here that's giving us saying we don't have this. I'm not sure where we are encountering the error, but no harm. It's normal for us to encounter such problems. I'll just So this one is more even worse. So htdocs to do app config database connection.php. Why are you saying we don't have such file? I'll just walk right into this and try to confirm whether the file exists here. So config and db connection.php, but we do have db connection.php here. Okay, maybe best thing we could do here is copy the relative path and try to paste it here. It's saying config connection.php, still same issue. So I think this real life server now gives us something not to work with, and why it's not working I can't explain. Why is it saying we just do ./ I can't really do like this. Yeah, I think here we are doing it in the wrong way, but I believe we shall just deal with it in a moment. And why it's not working, I'm not sure. So one thing I could do is stop my live server and try to run it again. The reason as to where I'm starting live server is for live server to take care of any new files that have been included, but that seems not to work again. So quick test here, just we are going to test it using localhost there, and we are going to do app like that and see whether our file is included. In fact, this one works well, but with the live server everything seems to fall apart, and that's not what we really want to deal with live server giving us issues. So we can decide to stop live server and go the manual way. I'm trying to see why this. Are there any other connections that or any other configurations that I need to do here? Let me just quickly search that one because I didn't notice of that. So how 5 server config.js not reading php include files. So php include not showing up. This is for php. I think we need to go this one, the 5 server one, from this other side, so that we can be able to see. Are there any other settings? Port that, root this, open that. They are saying that open this source, that's the root. HTTPS true. What if we introduce a root? Just a moment to see whether I can be able to get that one. False localhost, port false. So let's see if I come here and say I have root like this. Will you give me something to do app, or you will start giving me problems? Come back here, try to reload this. Open stream. Why is that the case? Okay, because this is a problem with the 5 server, not a problem with our code, I'll just drop that one and get back to the normal reloading now. So I'm going to stop 5 server here because it's giving us issues that we are not supposed to debug right now. So now that we have included our file, the first thing we could do is select our lists. So $lists. Okay, let's say lists SQL equals to, do you remember the select method, or the select method in SQL? Yeah, that's what we're going to use. Whatever I'm going to select here is just the ID and the name, but in this case you can just select everything. Select star from where we are going to select from lists. then a semicolon at the end. Because this is a single SQL statement, you can add a semicolon there or not. So for this case, or not. I'm going to select something from lists, and I'm going to say $lists equals to $con, and in our connection I'm going to query the lists thing. That's the lists SQL, like that. Now I have queried that one. Let me quickly print out something here. For example, I could just say var_dump the $lists, like that. So if I var_dump the lists like that and refresh my page, you'll notice it's going to say num rows. Okay, this is an object. In fact, we have been given here an object that goes like that, and it's going to have num rows somewhere, which is an int, or that's the count too. So that's what we are going to use here. So work right down the usage of var_dump, printing out objects and arrays, just like lists the way they are. Print and echo can't help. So if I were to echo my list here, for example, echo lists, you will notice something weird. So in short, even echo has just failed. It has said, no, you are giving me problems. I can't do that. Yeah, so that's the work of var_dump, not echo. So to confirm whether our file is still would, yeah, now that I have deleted var_dump. So here we had this statement saying no lists yet, add some. So how do we add some yet then? So it's easy, just write PHP code, close your PHP like that. So this is just write an if statement, if $lists. So I'm going to check for a specific code, for a specific key called numRows, and this one is going to return the number of rows. So if numRows is greater than 0, do something else. I want you to print out this. So that's now how we convert it. I want you to echo this out like that. And here I want you to echo there are some lists, like that. That's what I want you to echo there. So if I save that and I come here and refresh, now you will see there are some lists. Good. So far, so good. So let's proceed down. So after that, we want now to print out those lists here. How can we do that? That one is easy. We are going to use a while loop. And this one, we are going to create a new kind of list row, kind of a moving or a variable. Yeah, we are declaring a variable. And we are going to say $lists. And whatever we're going to do here is fetch a sock. So I'll explain what fetch a sock means here. My explanation might not be so nice, but yes. So in fetch a sock, it means the moment we go, you know, the while loop in this case is going to be used like a yielder. So it's going to yield a new row, and a new row for each item. I'm sorry for that. A new row for each item. So the first, it will iterate through the list, fetch the associative array for that specific item at that current index, and give us an associative array. An associative array is the same as the one that we saw here for var_dump, that gave us an object that contains something. So why am I talking? Let's just print it out. So var_dump $list row, like this. So we'll just dump it that way. And if I come here and refresh the page now, you'll notice we have array 3, ID or name something, name is their Facebook plan created on there we have, and then it goes to the next one and prints it out. So that's what I was talking about. So for each, it kind of iterates for each, and this while loop breaks on its own. Otherwise, if you were to write the same while loop in JavaScript, you had to break it. But for PHP, kind of it helps us break from the while loop automatically without us really struggling to break out of the while loop. So I can say that's a kudos for PHP. Some say PHP is down, but yeah, I don't have to worry about now me not breaking out of the while loop. But there's one catch here. So okay, before we go with the catch, let's echo out our list. For example, this is our list. I'm going to copy that and echo it out here. Just I change this one to those, and here I'm going to remove the active class, and since I have that, I can escape it. Then actually I can just simply do delete like that and insert my $sign and list row, and in this case whatever I want here is the so-called how is it called? I need to do this in curly brackets. I'm going to echo out something called the name. All right, now here I have some problem. It's saying something is not working here. Just seeing what I'm getting wrong. Why is this kind of not interacting directly? It should have I do my semicolon there. Something is wrong there, but we shall resolve it in a moment. So it's still printing out list row. No, that's not what we want. We want it to print out the name itself. I'm not sure why it's not printing out the name. I believe yep. So just a moment, I change this to single quotes like that. Change these ones to single quotes also. Okay, can I do that? Am I having a lot of issues? Can I do that then? Okay, let me refresh the page. Nice. Now this is what I'm talking about. So you have this list item here, list row name, and you can see we have kind of done inline string concatenation. In JavaScript, we could have done backticks, then sort of do $sign behind the curly bracket before we access the item. But for PHP, we have kind of, with a string, we have used the double quotes to allow us be able to read that specific item using curly braces and just directly append it here. Though there's a catch to this. This is not so dynamic, though dynamic still. It's not kind of going to allow us have a lot of lists or have a lot of moving parts for our list item. So I'm going to literally change this a bit now to match what can kind of look like HTML instead of echoing strings from PHP. Though they will be executed as HTML and be rendered out exactly as HTML as they have been rendered out here. So there's one thing we could do here is just simple. I'm going to do to remove my curly bracket and replace it with that for my if statement, and replace it with that. Take note of that. And also I'm going to do the same for the while loop like that. And I'm going to delete this. Before I delete this, I might miss this, so we'll just move this somewhere else. Don't want really to delete it now. And finally delete this and close my PHP like this. Like that. Now I have closed my PHP. I'm going to introduce PHP again down here, and you see where PHP's power comes in. So instead of else like this, I'm going to do like that. And finally, I'm going to do end if. And here, I'm going to do end while. Like that. So you might be asking yourself, why do we break these two different PHP snippets? Yes, this is the power of PHP. So if you are doing Django, somebody can say, with Django it's kind of inbuilt under there. Yeah, even PHP is here. So I can now write my HTML here and safely have HTML printing out. Now, instead of me printing out $sign list row here, it's just easy. Just do here, do like introduce your PHP tags again. close your PHP like that. And here I'm going to echo out this list, echo that. Actually, I don't have to do that. Echo the list name like this. Save the file. So if I reload the page, you will notice the same result. That's kind of interesting. Yeah, we have just broken PHP into 3 separate things, or in this specific part, we have 3 different kinds of PHP snippets. The first one contains the opening if statement and the opening while statement. At the center, we did our HTML, and lastly, we have the closing PHP that contains the closing and while statement, the else statement, and the closing and if statement. Don't you think that's interesting? Tell me in the comments. So let's proceed. So we have echoed out a list. Now, how can we add a list using our form? Currently, if we do this our form like that, you'll notice it refreshed and kind of appended a new question mark here, because all forms in HTML by default, they have a get method. So, and what you know about get method, it appends everything to the URL. That's the quickest way to explain what's get method. Everything on the URL. So if you submit a form using get, be sure everything is going to be on the URL. That's where passwords and okay, login, signups, and most of the forms in most pages don't contain or don't use the get method. What am I talking about? Let's get to the code. So I have my form here to add a list. I'm going to add a few things here. The first one being the method, which is post method. There are 2 methods usually associated with forms, except now we have the third method. Is it called the close model or close dialog method? Or is that the action called dialog? I'm not sure, but the most common is post and get. The one that we saw that appended a question mark to the URL. Let me just go back to the question mark by changing this to get and adding another attribute here called name. So this attribute is called to be called list name. I refresh my page. Now, if I try to do that one, I'll say here maybe new list. You'll notice it has appended the new list name here. That's not what you want for your code. So I'll just get back there. I want to be able now not to append to the URL. So if I change the method to post and I try to do that, you'll notice nothing has been appended to the URL. Kudos. Now you have learned about the HTML forms. What is the work of the HTTP method on the form itself, the attribute method, what is its work? So part of it. So let's go to the next portion of it. I have added the name to this input, and finally I'm going to add another name here to this type button type of submit. The name here is going to call the add list. Add list. Let's even do add list button. No harm. So to match things, I'm going to change this to underscore to avoid confusing a lot about my names here, so that we can kind of have a singular or a similar workflow of underscores. So that's so far the best we have done. But something else about our form, it needs an action. So for the action here, we are going to say the action is going to be PHP self, or the form that contains the, or the page that contains this form. If this is the form that's containing this page, or if this is the page containing this form, then let this page be the one that's going to process the form. That's the work of action. So action, usually here we usually pass in a URL. So we can just say here index.php, that's the action. But if it's the same page, you can just leave it blank, or you can use something called PHP. PHP has something special for you in this case. So just write PHP here and close PHP like that. And in the PHP tags, just echo HTML special characters and echo the super global called server. And here I'm going to access the so-called PHP self. Like that, I'm going to add my semicolon there. So this one is going to pass in this form, this page as the handler of this form. So if I save the file and reload the page, this one is going to ask me to do that. But if I do that, I'm going to right click and inspect. And after doing the inspection, I'm going to go to the form, and you will notice it's giving us the action to do app index.php. Did you see that one coming? I saw it coming. Yeah. So it has kind of written us where this form is supposed to be submitted to. So it's because we are using the same page. I didn't want to introduce several pages, but later on, if you feel like you can add a different page to process the form, maybe processors do process lists, sort of. But so far so good. We are good to go. So after doing that, where were we here? So I'm also going this field as required. Now I'm also going to process this form. So I'm just going back here where I was writing the first introduction or the first PHP tag. I'm going to do the form processing here, and it's kind of easy. So I'm going to use if statement, and in the if statement I'm going to use a special method in PHP called isSet, and the isSet method determine if a variable is declared and is different than null. So this one is going to make sure that yes, a specific variable is being declared and it's not null. That's the work of isSet. Usually you could do a lot of logic here, but isSet kind of eliminates a lot of problems when dealing with such things. And in this case, we are going to check for a special variable that's contained in the post superglobal that's called add list. Do we call our button like that? It's called a list button. So we are going to purely listen for or check for if there's a variable called add list button in the post method or in the post request. Then if it's there, okay, then I believe now we can have our list name from the same method. So $_post get the list name. Now that I have my list name there, I'm happy I have my list name, no harm. Then the next thing I'm going to do here is now to kind of insert into the table. Easy, just write add list SQL. And in this method, I'm going to use the basic method, and then I'll change it to be the more advanced method for security purposes. But for now, let's do the most basic method. That way we can be happy fast. So this is, it's the same method, insert into, where we inserting to lists. That's the table. What are we inserting? We are actually inserting the name only. What are our values? We are only going to insert the list name. And in this case, watch me do this. I've added quotes before I do $list name. Remember those quotes, they are very critical. Then I can do my semicolon at the end if I want or not. I did it somewhere here. I didn't do it here. Okay, no harm. I'll leave it blank either because it's a single SQL statement. So because this is an SQL statement, it can kind of be interpreted by PHP before it's being written to your code. So it's just a string, but it will be written well. So after doing our SQL there, it's just simple $con. So here I'm going to say $result equals to $con. So here I can query the database with the string of SQL. That is add. It's called add list SQL. That's what we had. Then if $result equals to true, if it returns true, it has been added. That's a status code of 2.1. It has been created. Then I want to return our set header, yeah, and in my header I'm going to return to a given location, and this location is kind of easy. Just return me to index.php, and with the method let's say you give this as a value as a list added equals to success, like that. So if this one is correctly added, just return me to that page. Else, if it's false, so that's else. I want you to return me to index.php. Actually, I need to do here dot forward slash return me to index.php with is it list added or list addition or list create. Let's use a term create, that's better. List create failed in this case. So this success, this one is failed. So this what will can help us determine whether our list was created or not. So if I reload the page again and try to add a new list like this, it's going to return us to the same page with some value here saying success. So we can say, you can take that value using the get method and give the user some information. Your list was created successfully. Be happy now. Yeah. But so far you can see our list here called a new list. So we can say so far we have just been able to write SQL from PHP and print it out to the user, give a user some value. So whenever it has been added, it will return like that. Why can't we take it to the next step? That is maybe add some border radius here, or we could tell the user here a new list has been added. But yeah, that's more about now system logic and the system flow, because whenever a new list has been added, you need to have a way of telling the user your list has been added besides them looking at the new list added. So we can try another one. YouTube tutorials, like that. Click enter. Now I have YouTube tutorials added. If I reload the page, it's not going to ask me to continue. Why? In this case, I didn't return the same page, or I didn't continue with the same page flow. I returned sort of a new page. I returned a new index.php page. Otherwise, if I didn't have this, just watch what's going to happen. I'm going to say here another list. Click enter. It has been submitted, but if I reload the page, you will notice it has kind of asked me to continue, and it has added another list. Something is weird, because I clicked continue, it has added another list. So you will notice you have two another lists. So let me show you what I mean. I walk back to my database and I show you we have our two lists here. But so if I were to click on the URL bar there and hit enter, you'll notice it printing out the other list. Take care of that. That's why I returned a new page specifically to avoid it creating several lists, because I didn't exit the initial page. So that's how you exit the old page and kind of print out a new page, so that we don't have a pending form somewhere to be submitted. Yeah, take note of that. So we have successfully added a list. So the next question will be, how do we select a single list? For example, in this case, we could be able to select to do up or close it. I think it's not clear in my things here, so I'll just reload the page. Yeah, so in this case, I can be able to select my list like that, and it loads a list there. A nice list, in fact. So how can we do, or how can we achieve this? I want to select a single list. So this one is also easy. Let me show you. So back to PHP. So do you remember the work of A tags? This is where they come in, exactly where they come in. So I'm going to do here an A tag, and in this A tag, I'm going to close it. You have to close your A tag in the right place. And in this case, you can notice I have wrapped my list in the A tag. So I'll just plus there. Oh, not visible. Yeah. So you will notice I have wrapped my list in A tag. And in this case, I'm going to do an href here. And the href is kind of easy. Just I want us to go to index.php list equals to, write me some PHP here. What am I going to do here? Just echo this list out, say $, list row, and whatever you want, I want out here is the ID of the list. So just take care of, look at this. So if I refresh my page, you'll notice everything now is the normal A tag. The styling is kind of everywhere. So if I click on that, you'll notice it has added 1 here, list equals to 1. Click on that, it's saying list equals to 2. Click on that, list equals to 3. Click on, everything is so nice. But now our list has dropped some of its styling. We need to kind of give it the right styling. But yeah, we need to give it the right styling. How can we do that? Easy. That's the work of CSS. Just walk right into CSS. Do you see this list? It has the A. Yes. Just go to CSS. Find your list. It's called lists class, I believe. Just a moment to confirm. The class is list. Yeah, the class is list. Just scroll down. Find the list class. Here it is. Before the list item, I'm going to write some styling here. Dot list A. I want you to have a display block in the first place. I don't want you to be displaying inline block, just block. Then I want you to have a text decoration of none. And also I want you to have the normal color of black. I don't want you to have separate different things. But you'll notice something the moment you do that. Nothing is working and nothing is reflecting. So that's where the term caching comes in. Is it caching, cache, or what? Not sure. Provided, I don't know what you know about cache. So cache means our page has been cached by the server. The server kind of gives us a cached version of CSS. That's not what we want. So in this case, if you encounter same error, you have written some styling, but they are not applying, just try to just add reload your page using Ctrl Shift and reload, or Ctrl Shift R. That way it will be hard reloaded to make sure the new styles has been, the old cache has been purged? Has been purged so that the new can be taken into consideration. There we go. Now you can be able to click on a given list, change the list, reload the page. Everything's looking nice. You'll notice a few things here. Whenever I move our list, you see the delete button. That's the first one. The other one is that whenever a list is active, it has the active class. For example, whenever the one that is like on the hover. So let's return our button. So in our li here, this is where we are printing our list name. Now I want to return my button, and I realized that that's only found in the PHP or the JavaScript code we had written earlier that contains that. This one contains a button here. So I need to copy the button from there and come to here and paste it here. And this button is not going to use JavaScript, so on click is not a must. Just delete it. I think that's all that was required. So if I refresh this, over there you will see the delete button popping up on hover. Next, what do we have next? Is now I have 4 here selected. How can I make it the active list? Simple enough. That's also available. Just go back to the previous code where we were doing some logic. So I'll just give this some comments to help whoever is following this tutorial to know what's happening. In this case, we are selecting all lists from the database using, okay, you can use the the include. We include the database connection file containing database connection information. Let me just say I can just come here and say $con and say this this is the DB connection variable, like that. I think we are all together there. Then here this if statement is used to create new lists, symbol like that. Yes, now let's do the creates down below and let's arrange our work better. I'm going to do here select the right list based on the URL list key. So here in this case we are going to use the get method. Easy enough. And in this case I'm going to say here some variables. $, I'm just going to say selected list equals to null. I shall initialize it by it being null, and I scroll down and I use an if statement. If is just a moment, I think my typing is kind of, if is set, there's another super global besides the get, besides the post called get, and in this super global we are definitely going to get something called list here. This one, list, that key name, list. That's the work of get. In short, it gets things from the URL. If I may explain it in the layman's language, if there's a get method, then you can just come here and write $selected list SQL. I didn't show you this. Now we are going to write it to get it. So it's easy also. We are also going to use select everything from lists. So we have a condition in this case where this is going to help us identify the exact list that we want. In fact, let me move this somewhere else. So I'm going to say here list key equals to that. So I'm going to use the list key here like that. Select stuff from lists where list key where ID equals to the list key, because we have that key from the URL, and we are getting where the ID matches the same, because I told you the ID is the original identifier, and it's the same ID that we are passing out here. Echo PHP list equals to row ID. That's the same ID for each of the rows. Easy enough. Okay, so now that we have the SQL here, it's also simple to get the result or the connection, or now execute the SQL. So I'm going to say here selected list result equals to take my connection and query. What am I querying? I'm going to query this because that's what I want. Now that I've queried that one, this is good. Now I want now to append the value to the selected list. But if I were to print out this value for a moment, I do var dump. I told you var dump is for this work. It has a nice work, in fact. So I do the list, the result there. We selected only, in fact we selected a lot of these lists. But the only thing that's making it to be a single list is because we are selecting based on a given ID, a single one. So if I save that one and reload the page, because we have list key 3 here, you'll notice it's printing out something here. Num rows 1. It's the same the same that we saw when we were selecting lists, but now it's giving us a single num row 1. Reason being, we only have a single item or a single list with a given ID. Then what's next? Now I want to read the exact result. Easy enough. Just do $, selected list. Now I'm going to reassign the value from null And here in this case, I'm using something called the global selected list. Reason as to why I did use it in global, so that it can be available in the global scope and I can use it somewhere else in the page. That's why I use the global scope. And then I can do here is MySQL underscore feature sock. So what's the work of feature sock? It's also going to give me an associative array, but for a single row. So I'm going to do here $, that one. Oh, not this one. Kindly sorry for that. This one. There. And the value is going to be appended to the selected list. Then I can just print it out here. And let's see the result. You'll notice now we have this. So nice. Name. This new list created on that. That's very, very good. What if we didn't have our list here? So this is where things become interesting. Yes, we print out nothing because that's purely in the if statement. So our selected list is currently null. So select it, it's no longer null, prints out something. So it's the same thing if in this case we didn't have any value. It could purely fail. So that's where you could go to the next step of make sure that this one is not empty. So just copy this to make sure it's not empty before you proceed. Just do if not empty. This now PHP. Very nice. In JavaScript, it's kind of difficult to get to this. I can tell you for free because I'm a JavaScript person. So there's no empty thing. You have to check for null, check for an empty string, check for undefined, check for anything. But for PHP, just call empty and it will check for all those. Null, empty string, yep, and everything will be just nice. If it's not empty, then proceed. Then if I reload now, I no longer get my blank white screen, but now even if I don't have a given list key here, it's going to work out very well. Otherwise, if I have one, it's going to reassign the value to selected list here. Now that we have taken the selected list, how can we kind of now print it out to the user? Easy enough. And also here we can also actually, now we have it there, we can also change even the title. So nice. How to change a title? Easy. Now let's change the title here. I'm going to write some PHP here. Just a moment. So if, I need to write PHP. So this is how you do dynamic pages. This is the start. With the time you shall learn how to do complete dynamic pages, not based on keys, but based on special ways of doing it. So my best to do app. So if $selected list, if there is that list, just kindly echo me this out, or echo I'm going to do that one, I'm going to selected list and echo me the name kindly. After echoing me the name, am I missing something here? Yes, I'm missing something. That one. Echo me the name and tell me maybe even add list there, sort of. And else, it's easy. Just echo me my best to do up. Is that not easy? Very easy, very entertaining. Then I close it that way, then I refresh the page. Now you can be able to see it has given me Facebook marketing plan. That's a list. Now test list, nice. I have dynamic title. That's how you make a dynamic page. We are starting to learn something about SEO. So for SEO, each page has to have its own title, not pages having similar titles. No, it's not healthy for SEO. Each page has its own title. That's a way of achieving that kind of functionality. Next, now the next thing we want to do here is to select the active list. We now have based on the title, we have an active list. So we are going to do the same down here. Where are we? Where do we do the lists? Here. So here we know we actually need to print out the active class. So for our active class, I can just do that. No, let's remain with that. So it's also easy. Just write PHP code here and close PHP and start writing the following echo. I want to echo out the active class. How do I do that one? You see, PHP sort of has borrowed some things from other languages. And as a JavaScript dev, I am happy that it has borrowed something called ternary operators. So in the current PHP version, you can do ternary operations without really doing long if statements. That is, I can purely do if we have a selected list. If we have a selected list like this, question mark, print out active, else just print out an empty string. Isn't this enticing? So let's reload the page. You will notice everything is now selected. Is that what we really want? No. So it's easy. So if we have selected list, we don't have to do this using the ternary operator because it's checking for the inactive list. So just change this one, selected list ID equals to, do you remember the ID that we got from the URL, the list key, this one? How can we achieve that one? So I'm just going to also add a list key here to avoid having back and forth, and I'm also going to leave this as null for now so that I can append it there easy like that. So here I'm going to check for the selected list ID. It matches the given list key from the global perspective, then select that one only. Same issue, same problem. Let's go back to debugging. Why do we have list key ID and list key not matching? Okay, selected list key. Okay, so the debug, one of the ways we could just debug here is just let's echo them out, both of them. $. I'm going actually to use the print statement in this case, and I'm going to print this $, list key like that. So if I print out the list key, let's see what it prints out. It's going to print out 2. Is it printive? Not printive. I'm looking for a given method here. Is it printer? Yeah, I think it's printer. I didn't talk about that one when I was introducing it. Why is it not giving me the type? It should have given me the type, but it's not. Okay, just a moment. Why is it not giving me some values that I actually want? Okay. There's one of the methods of print that kind of prints the information about the key that you really want. I'm not sure which one, but I'm unable to get it. printf in formatted string. What is this printf doing here? Okay, I'm unable to get. I thought it was to be under printer print something. It should have given the type. Okay, let's just do an if statement here. Why are we really struggling? Let's do $ selected key list id id equals to $list key. If they match, just print out this echo they match. Reload the page and we are having the match. Something else, let me do 3 equal signs here to be sure what's happening. They match. So with 3 equal signs, still everything is good, but with our if selected key is equals to this list key, unless this list key changes along the way, but I believe it has not changed from the last time which was specified. Yeah, it didn't change, but I'm not sure why it's not giving us the exact key here. Maybe do that. It's still selecting everything. Do they have the same key? No, they don't. So it means my if statement here is not the right thing. And so what I'm going to do here is to use a method instead, so that a method can return me true or false, so that I can use the method to work around this easily. So just convert my if statement here to an fn. So function get match like that. It's just going to return true or false. So just return true. Here return false. Where do we have $if? Oh, and here it's going to say undefined. In fact, you can just here say global selected list and list key to be secure. For those who didn't know about this one, here you go. So because this one are not like specified anywhere within this function, because PHP is one of those that takes care of the scope very much. Talk of Rust and its problems. Here we have PHP with more problems. So you have to kind of make sure that your variable is in the scope first. So I've just changed that one so that I can be able to call the get match function here that returns true or false, and then I can use the result to print out active and inactive. And it's not really like working. So I'm just going to get match, and if match returns true, then I'm going to echo out active. Instead of returning true, I'm going to return active. And here I'm going to just return an empty statement. Let's see. So here is where things get weird, and why I haven't been I have been getting problems. I'm sorry for this. So let's just pass in the ID to match here. I'm sorry for this. And in fact, our method could have just worked without this stuff. Yeah. So we are not checking for selected list. I'm very sorry for this, for wasting your time in this. So we are not checking for this, we are checking for the list row ID. Remember that we are matching the current row with the given list key. That's why we have been having super global problems. So I can be able to change different lists There we go. So just remember here, we are matching the list, the current row, this row, with the global list key. So I can just delete my function here. I'm sorry for wasting your time here, but yes, it's called code. Some bugs are invisible. This is a PHP, it can't kind of shout to you. Okay, now that we have selected a given list, let's do some other logic here to make sure that we have a selected list or not. So if we do PHP here and close PHP, I'm going to do if we have selected list. Now this is super global selected list. If there's that list, just echo out the list name. $sign selected list, the name, or else just echo out this. Yeah, just echo this out like that. I know this video has taken longer than expected, but remember, it's more of beginner friendly to make sure you get everything the way it should be taken care of. What next? Next we have this button. I only want also to show this button whenever there's a selected button, and this I said we are going to change this one to, it can be called delete, or let's just leave it at close. Also it's the same logic, so I'm going to just copy that. And in fact, where am I struggling with this yet I can put everything together and print out, so avoid repeating myself, it's easy. Just move this up, just move this down. Okay, I'll copy this and move it here and remove that, and actually close my PHP here, and then do a different PHP code here, PHP, and it will close down with this like that. Move that and end if like this. Delete this. I'm not going to echo. Okay, I will be echoing, but echo using PHP. I need to do the right PHP tag and close PHP here. I'm closing it the opposite way, like that. So at this point, I'll echo the name. And if everything is good, then I can also be able to print out the pattern in this if statement there. So don't worry about this long statements. Oh, my H3 is the one bringing me a problem, so I can just move it there in fact. So everything has been arranged well, I believe. Yeah. So then we can say let's proceed. So if I reload the page now, you will notice a new list selected. Facebook marketing plan, YouTube tutorials has been selected. So what next? So the next portion is also kind of easy. Now we are going to load all to-dos for YouTube list. So I think our first list, Facebook marketing plan, had some to-dos. So let's kind of load them all. So you can just come here and scroll down where we load the to-dos here. And in fact, the to-dos loading also will happen on top of here. So this is kind of making your file, even if you were to move these connections or this kind of readings to a different file, maybe to a given function, then you could kind of do that and avoid writing PHP and HTML, JavaScript in the same place. Yeah. Anyways, so let's do something else here. Here we are going to select the to-dos. So I'm just going to say here to-dos equals to null 2. Because they are purely based on the list, it's best that they remain null till we have a given list here, so that we can also do the selection here. It's the same SQL, so I'll just copy that. And in this case, I'm going to say here, select all to-dos for this given list key. All right. So paste my PHP there. And this is not going to be lists SQL, it's going to be to-dos SQL. And this one is just going to be to-dos con query, and this one is going to be to-dos SQL. And we are going to select from to-dos, but in this case we are going to introduce the where statement again. Do you see where how it comes? So I can just copy it and paste it there, and we have where remove one closing. Now it's not ID but rather list key, because that's the column that we have where we track the specific list ID. So where list key equals to this list key. So in this case, we are going to select specific list based on its ID, like that. That's why we did ID equals to that. Here we are based on the list key. That's why we do list underscore key, because we have that column in our database. Now, if we go to a database and try to look at that under to-dos, you will notice we have the list key here. So that's exactly what we are going to do. And we know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They kind of have all their own to-dos. So let's continue. What are we going to do here? Now that we have the to-dos, and also we are going to write another loop, sort of looking like this. So why can't we copy this loop? Because it's working, we know it's working, and use it here. Change what we are supposed to change. So in this loop, what are we going to change? We are going to change from list to to-dos, and also we are going to change from to list here to to-dos, and here we are going to say to-do row. Then here I'm going to say no lists yet, no to-dos yet. Is that a bad idea? Nope. And here we have done and delete. So what do I need to include? Just the done button here. And here it's not a list item. Let me confirm. It's called a to-do item. That's the class. And do we need a tag? No, we are not wrapping it in an a tag. It does not want that or require that for now. You can just get rid of it like that. To do item PHP, what is this? Active. We don't have really active here, so there's no need of us having the active tag or the active class. Then what are we echoing out? It's not the name. Now we are echoing out the description. Description like that. Done, delete. Does this match this other one? Oh, these are actually under div item actions. So copy that and paste it here, because it's going to result to a problem if it's not there. There we are. Now we have to-do row. And here we are not looking at the list row, but to-do row itself. Isn't this amazing? So reload the page. Wow, I have created an ad for live software developer. Very nice. Then click on the test list. I have the test to do. Click on the other one. I have the same test to do. It's because they all have test to do's. So to quickly add more things here, we can now go ahead and do the writing. I think I need to check my styling here a bit and move those buttons to the end. They shouldn't be there where they are. So I'm going to click on it like this. Okay. Why am I not getting hover effect? I can't really hover and hold on there. So for our item actions, display, okay, let's just walk right into CSS and find them. Item actions, display flex. Where do we have our to do item? P13. So they are kind of that display justify content center and What if we do, we have just the content end here instead of center? I'm just going to close there. Where are you not working? Or do we use right? That one is going to help you work out now. Oh, I said this might not work, so you have to kind of reload your page here. So it has set them to the end there. Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's so much. Awesome. 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 Now that we have this to the end, I can't be able to click done, can't be able to delete end, but first we need to add more of these guys here. How do we do that? And for each to do item on hover, I need to do that to do item. I want to add a border radius here of maybe 10 px. So let's make things look nicer. Yeah, there we have our 10 pixels border. So it's now looking nicer. So how do we add new to do items? It's also easy. Just go to your PHP file, scroll where you are adding them. Change this have an action. I'm going to leave it blank. I told you it kind of returns at the same place. After doing it, leaving it blank, I'm going to do action that then can literally say here the method. That's the next thing. Method say post, and also I'm going to change the name here. Oh, I have it, so just say to do underscore name. And then for the button, I'm going to add a method here, method called, not method, I'm sorry, name here is add to do button. Just remember those things. So scroll up where we did insert into, we did write an insert statement here. So I'm going to copy this and go to, I'm going to create a new file. And this file is kind of easy also. This one is going to call, I'm going to call this one functions.php, like that. And in functions.php, I'm going to create a function called, oh, I need to write PHP here, I need to introduce PHP like that. Close PHP. I'm going to write a function called add to do function. This function actually is not going to take in anything, but it's going to process all this. It doesn't have the con, in fact. So I can say here, can I say globus $con, like that. So sometimes these things, so let me just maybe include the /database connection.php because it contains the con. Why are you not working? Variable con. Okay. But I can't have access to it now. I'm having some error here and I'm not understanding it. Why do I have the error? Okay, I needed to do that global con. In this add to do, first I'm going to get list. After getting the list, I'm going to check for the list key if it's not empty or not. Then I'm going to delete everything there because I have to have that list before I proceed. Then I can use the the post method or the something from post here to proceed with the rest of the code. So it's not list name, is to do description. That's the to do description. I want to get the to do. Actually, we need to change this one in our form. So just run here and go to your form. Where's our form? Here. it should be to do description because it will be a description, and we are going to listen for add to do button on post. So here I'm going to listen for add to do button. To do description, I have my to do description. I'm going to insert into to do's. Whatever I'm going to insert is called a list key. Those are the column names we are going to insert, and the description that contains the list key and the description here. So what's our list key? We have the list key here. So just copy that and put it there. Also remember to put it using the $sign and that, and then inside the quotes. Insert into to-dos, the list key and description. Since this is a global var, so I'm forced to use the backtick syntax there. Then a result it's not add list, it's called add to do SQL. And in this is not list create, but rather to do create equals to success. And now here there's something that have not been talking about. I want to return to the same page. We have the list key, so we need to return to the page that has list equals to some list key. So how do we do that one? So walk right to your code where you do your allocation. I'm going to use string concatenation here. You can see that's how you do string concatenation using a dot. So these two strings have been concatenated. So if I add two dots there, it can allow me to add some content at the mid list here. So I can just say here list equals to, and here I also do list equals to, then I do my list key there. $sign list key, $sign list key, or $sign list key. List key, like, okay, list key, like that. Except how do I append the next content or the next parameter, query parameter? They are called query parameters. I'm going to use ampersand at that, like that. That way I will be able to return to this page. Easy enough. So how do I use this function? So it's not a direct use, but yeah. So I'm going to call this function somewhere. So I'll just come here and introduce the file. Where's our file? We did a connection there. I'm also going to do here functions. So functions.php will contain this function called add to do. Then how do we call the function? So to initialize the function, because it has to be sort of initialized, or that functionality has to be initialized, I'm going to copy this and I use it to initialize the function. Add to do function. I'll explain why I needed to initialize the function here, like this. So the reason as to why I need I needed to call the function, it's because this is the only way I can be able to reach the function literally without struggling. So if I were to just call the function out here, it will be initialized the first time the server came across it. But let's see what will happen. I've not tested this out, so maybe there are problems awaiting us. So I can just say here another task, add. Hooray, you got this one right. So another task has been added and it has loaded here with this critical part here saying to do create equals to success. So let me just comment out this. For example, I see whether just initializing the function or calling the function without anything, it will affect the code flow. A new task. In fact, it does not. So it's best that I leave it blank. I just call the add to do function because it contains the add to do functionality. And finally, I can relatively move this one to functions.php, and we had add to do. I can quickly do another function here, function add list, so that we can now arrange our work. That's how you start arranging your work. And this should be a global con. So if I may explain something small about global term. So this global is going to allow the function access a variable from the global scope. This con is defined in the dbconnection.php. So if you are in dbconnection.php, you will find this con. How can you access it in a function? A function by default does not contain or get access to the outer scoped variables and declarations or constants. So you kind of have to make them global in this function. Tell it use the global scope to do this. That's what I want. Then I can safely move the add list function and quickly do it there. Like, oh, it's a function, so call it like that, or invoke it. So if I refresh the page, I say a test list after moving functionality. You will notice we have a test page after moving functionality. If I click on it, now we have a test list after moving functionality. What else can we do? Let's add something critical. If I add a new list, I want to kind of immediately load the list there. Isn't that good? So I'll just walk right into functions. And instead of first directing to that only, so you can just kind of copy that. Okay, let's just concatenate these things quickly. Dot dot. This should be a string. This should be the end of the other one. Dot 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 string. Amidst here, we can just say list equals to who. So I'm not sure how to do that one. I came here very fast, only to remember I can't be able to do that. That's bad. So let that be your assignment. I'll let you handle that. You see, it has given me 10-0. I'm back to home. Let me go do what I can. Yeah. So now we can say we have done something. I can add another list here, another task, like that. This is so much fun. So we are next. Now that everything is kind of moving the way we want, now we are doing the last or the final functionality. That is deleting and updating. And what are we exactly updating in this case? We are going to update the list type, and also let's just round up this thing. So here is the thing. So we want to be able to select the active tab. But before we do that, let's kind of, if I click here done, I want this to be marked as done also. So how do I do that one? So for that, I'm actually going to do a few functions. That is, if now I'm here, how can I mark this as done? That's a good question. So we actually know that I could mark something as done if, yeah, it's done. So okay, I'm kind of generating the code. Just a moment. Yeah. So if I click on this button done, I want to mark this as done. So in this case, we could use a form and use this form in a post method way, or using the method post way. That way we can be able to feast some URL, come back after doing something with that URL, or we can also kind of use a href that goes to a given page, and after doing what it's meant to do there, it comes back. So what if we go with the page? What do you think, guys? So here I'm going to introduce a few pages. That's one. I'm going to create a folder called pages. And these pages relatively are not going to be normal pages because they are kind of functional pages. So how do we achieve that one? So in these pages, I'm going to create a page. I'm going to say mark to do as done.php. So this is easy. Just in this page, I'm going to select the to do here. So I'm going to use if is set, and the set method, I said it's very critical. If is set $_get, and what am I listening for? If this the to do ID, let's just, this is not so secure, but it will kind of work. If we have a to do ID, then I want you to give me the to do ID. $to do ID equals to that. After giving me that to do ID, I want to do SQL, just a simple SQL statement here. It's just simple because we are marking and to do is complete. Just kind of update. What are we updating? We are updating to do's. Set. So in update, we do update to do's, set some value, so is complete equals to because it's SQL, let's just use one. And finally we do where ID equals to the $to do ID. So that's our SQL. Then res, if there's a result, we can just say $con. The result is $con, and in this con we're going to execute. I'm executing instead of querying. So you might notice here con is not there, so nothing is working. So you might be forced also to include your database connection here. Include, how is it called? // go to config, then give me database connection.php symbol con, so I can be able to do query. Yes, so I'm going to do SQL. That one's nice. Now that I've done that, I can do if $result equals to true, and the true in PHP is just that, or small, whichever. I want you to return me to this page. Which page specifically? Return to the header, and in this case I want to return to a given page, so I'm trying to find out and the page in this case is $page. I want to return to the previous page where I was, so you can do $page equals to is it server? Nope, we can use a request in this case. Yeah, we can use request, and HTTP, is it HTTP referrer? Not sure, but it should be that. I want you to return me to this page. How can we call this request a page, for example? Yeah, return me to the request a page by doing location that. So in this case, I'll just concatenate this like this, $sign that, then concatenate it with this, and I say to do complete equals to success. So this one will return us to the requester page with that. Otherwise, just return us to the same page. There's no harm. Oh yeah, return us to the same page, but change a few things here. This should be failed like that. So how can we use this method? So we have done here. So instead of using a button, we can just literally go ahead and change this to an A tag like that, and then finally pass in the href. And this href is kind of easy to work around with. Just write your PHP there. Oh, in fact, it's just // go to pages / mark to do as complete .php. Yeah, give me a question mark there and echo. What are we reading here? We are actually reading some value that's called to do ID. So you can just read the to do ID here. Actually need to question mark to do ID equals to echo to do row. I want the ID exactly, it's alone like that. So that way we could have that. So I reload the page, everything is good. Now I have my, and if you look at my URL, there is to do _ ID equals to 3. So I'm going to select on Facebook marketing, because this is where we can check in the database and check whether it's marked or not. So I'm going to click down there, localhost to do app pages to do app complete success, which requested URL. Oh, so how do I do that one? I will just quickly learn how to do that one. PHP return to referrer, because you need to return to the referrer actually. Yeah, I'll just walk right into this. We have request headers. Is this something else? They are saying that we use JavaScript. Nope. Let's go to this. Actually, I'm using a server HTTP referrer. Okay, so we have the server HTTP referrer. So let me confirm that one. I want to return to the same page that sent me here. So instead of using, I use server. I think that one's correct, except this one should be server, like that. Let's try it again. You see, these things is try now, try tomorrow, try the other day. Yeah, so I'm going to click here, done. Nice, it has returned us to our page. Now if I go here and reload this page, you will notice our to do create an ad for a software developer has been marked as 1, or I said true is equals to 1, false equals to 0. That's the default thing. That's a bit and a byte, here. Bit, 0 and 1. Don't worry about me bit byte there. So there we have 1. So I can come here and we have another task. Click done. It returns us to the same page. Reload the page. Now we have another one here. Marked as done. So the next thing we are going to do here is to make sure that whatever is marked as done is marked as done. For example, in this case, here, introduction to PHP done. Okay, it should be red. Introduction to SQL done. Should be red. How to add a new list done. Should be red. How to add a new to-do given a list. We have done that one. Select a single list. We have done that one. Delete a list, delete a to-do, and update a to-do. We are there. We have done that one in short. So let's finish it. So we need to have this complete and incomplete. What happens there? So this is the thing. Whenever a to-do has been marked as complete, its class changes to complete, and the other one that are not complete, they kind of have a not complete class. And also for the buttons, if it's complete, you only see the delete button. Otherwise, you only see the done and delete button. So quickly, how do we do that one? So easy, because that one's already done. You only need to add that functionality to the code. So here in our to-dos, item actions, where is our to-do item here? We did print out the description, but these descriptions, I believe they should have been in a, let me confirm, in a p tag. Just a moment, to do item. Yeah, they should have been in a p tag, so that they can be able to mark complete and incomplete from the previous JS code. So I can just quickly do that one, where here, just introduce p, like that, close the p tag, like that. And I'm going to add now a class here, class symbol, write PHP here, close your PHP, echo the class. What am I echoing out? So $sign to do app. Oh, actually to do row is underscore complete. I can now use the ternary operators. Question, if it's complete, just do complete, else do not complete. Then finally do my semicolon there. Let's reload the page and see whether oh, nice. It has actually done that, except one problem. Let me confirm the styling also. The styling is kind of looking weird whenever it's complete. Color red, complete. Color red. I'm going to do here different complete now. If I move on complete, the color shouldn't be red. I need the white color, in fact. That's fair. So hard reload the page. Yeah. So this one is complete. And this one is complete. We also need to hide the done buttons. Yes. How do we hide the done buttons? Simple. The same logic we used here. It's the same logic. So where are those buttons? Here. Still having the same problem. So why can't I use our board? I'm going to close my PHP ChatGPT to give us this. Let's write some if statement here. If so, just $sign to do row is complete. So here I'm going to say not and tell him I close my PHP here. In PHP like that is not. And finally I'm going to end my if. We let him do what he's using PHP doing. Yeah. So let's see. Like that. Do we do it wrong? PHP? And you can see this one is using bind param and executing. Let's confirm by reloading the page. Now I only see the delete button and delete whenever I need to delete one. So far we are done with marking something as complete. Can we mark that one? Update to do. it's using a different execution result. The next one is delete a list and delete a to do that we really don't want to use. So how do we do that? We have already created sort of a template function, a template file here. Just copy the same, duplicate it down. So Control CV. Here I'm going to just break instead of delete to do as complete, so that I can going to say delete list out where the problem is. I'm going to purely change this to list tabs. What about delete list? Simple. That's not here. It's going to take the list ID. So whatever we are going to track on the URL is the list ID. To join, just get that list ID. I'm going to update it down group by. So instead of to do SQL, so I'm going to change. So let's see. Change this to list SQL. Count t. Instead of delete to do's, I'm going to delete. Account case when t. So the delete statement is kind of different. So it's kind of delete from here in case we are going to say delete from list where ID equals to list ID. That's the difference, I think. Complete to do's result where ID equals that to one we change the to one like that. The result to return to the page where we came from. Kind of change this and here we say list deleted. Maybe this should deleted equals to success, and here we say pass list deleted equals to failed. So far we will be returning to the same page where we came from. That's where we have used server. So same problem. One thing I could do for sure is copy the same statement and execute it. I believe this is kind of a walk in the park on our SQL code. Been with me through this about 2 hours here, and not sure it has been a long video, but I wanted to make it long enough. So SQL compact enough to contain a lot of CRUD in PHP with our list application. So that's about our list. So how do we use it? So walk right into our list here. A bit. I can't remove. Do you remember them having the delete button? Where is the delete button? Here. Change the delete button to an A tag. Have a lot of spacing there. So simple do href here. The href is what I can confirm // go to pages, because this is the only way you could go to pages and see the problem. And in pages, I want you to delete a list .php the list ID on equals to line. I want you to introduce PHP here. I could and close PHP. Whatever I want you to echo here is the $, the list row, and so ID. That's what I want you to echo out. That's all, nothing else. I know my list, so my delete should work, for example. So if I refresh here now and click go, now you could notice sort of our delete has been fixed there. I didn't intend for that. Group by L. I think things have gone wild here. Not sure why. Can I group by one? But we can check that one later on, just in a moment. But for now, so let's leave it total to do's case when t dot is complete equals to 0. I think it's because it's an A in an A causing problems where ID equals to 1. So let's try to delete one of the another list here. Hit delete, goes there, and it comes back saying to do complete equals to success, to do complete equals to success, list deleted equals to true with the list ID. So if I leave it blank like this, you might be wondering, why do we have to do complete to do complete? But that's all. I'll maybe watch a later video where I get rid of this. Where does it in a more formatted way here, and remain with the ones that we .id really intended to have. Also not all this n.id. But you'll notice our list is gone, right? Yep. Next, that one is working. Is to do the same functionality on our. Then can I introduce my where statement here on our specific to-dos? So walk right to the to-dos. Let me see. We have a btn delete here. Replace this with. So instead of delete list, this one is going to be delete to do. .php. Let's see. Then this should be the to-do ID. Then this should be the to-do row ID, then delete. Then I need to duplicate this and change the name here to delete to-do like but that. Exactly know quickly I'm going to copy that and Control H so that I can change it to the To-Do ID. To the MySQL result. I'm actually replacing them quickly like that. Okay. And I have list SQL. So since it seems like change that one to do SQL. If I pass in there two instances of them, I have changed everything. Change list that one. I'm not getting the result expected. And instead of list deleted, I say here to do so deleted. What if I go to okay, like that. So if I do this and refresh the page, you will notice I can be able to delete this another task here by simply hitting delete and it's gone. So one may task, how can I kind of get rid of all this so that I can remain with a single one? Show the exact one I want, or so that's a thing that I can leave you for an assignment. Try to write a function that gets all this from the URL, gets all these keys needs to do, deletes all of them, and inserts the exact ones that you want. That's the simplest way to explain that one. I believe we are together finally. So I want to load the all incomplete and complete. So here in our SQL, if you do recall, we did some value, we did write some code somewhere where we were selecting a specific list. It uses this one after the other one, while it left joining and right joining some stuff. Left join class. So why can't we continue with the left joining and right joining? So you can't kind of said select L dot star. I'm going to just write L dot star, and from lists type the other side where I list that. Then so maybe let me switch that way. What are you left joining? Just move my where clause as the T last on. What are you after the left really joining on? At what column? The column take me the T dot. We know where is one. Or is it called? So click go. List key. Column equals to in where the given L.id. Symbol like that. Then also I want you to group by L.id. Then what I want here is I want some other column. Product name. This column is going to contain where the count ID equals to 100. Here as and as complete to order by ID. And also I'm going to have another count ID, but here I'm going to have okay. Let's first count the total to-dos. And what are you counting? Just count L.d, not T dot this one list key. Maybe there. You can even count the IDs. Who knows? Just count the list keys. Column ID is ambiguous. Then after that, I want you to count the incomplete. Oh, I know one here. As total so to do equals to 1. There. Incomplete to the go. As incomplete to do's. The column ID in so where close is this ambiguous. Is not directly like this. So I need to write some case statements here. So in this case, when T dot is underscore complete equals to 0, because that's what I really wanted. Then 1, just end where that's all what I want. T dot is complete equals this is for why is it not incomplete? Incomplete. That's right. I think this is good. Then finally I want you to do for the complete ones like this. T dot is complete, do 1, then end, then do for complete as a column name. Group by L.id. So I can be able to read the total to-dos. So if I come to here all, here, I can just literally give a space there or go to the next line there and do a span.count. And here, what am I counting? Symbol. So PHP. Where do I need to go to different lines? I can just take here directly and say echo $, row selected list count. Is it count? Nope. This should be have been total to-dos. like that. Let's try it out. Reload the page, no problems. Several problems. So let's quickly see where we are getting the problem. I believe this is where we are getting the problem. L dot star count list key as total to dos. Did I print out the total to dos here? So what we could do here is I did print out total to dos from the selected list, something like count case when t dot is complete that equals to 0, then 1, and count that from lists L where id equals to that left join to do t on t dot list key equals to L dot id. Okay, just a moment to get rid of these spaces, because I realized such spaces can bring around fewer problems. If not taken t dot is complete, then reload the page. Why am I having the same issue? So it's failing at this point. Use this guy here. T dot list key equals to L dot id group by L dot id. Oh, all right. So here we are selecting as given we are given a list key that we are selecting with, so we can literally use the list key there like that instead of using L.id. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, that's what I was missing. So yeah, I've been going through and trying to check out how to solve this one. So I realized that my code, yes, it was right, except here where I was doing id becomes an ambiguous key. So I needed to do L dot, that's the list dot id equals to that list key, so that it can allow me proceed. So let me reload this. Oh, not that one, this one. Same error. Let me just quickly see what I'm missing again. I'm grouping dot using L.id. Let me just group by $ list key. Just a moment. Let me see here what I did. Count that. Why am I having problems? And I can copy this and replace here, and it will just work like charm. So move it that way. Yeah, up to there like that. Then select that here is not 1. Just change this from 1 to $ list key. Change this one also to $ list key like that. Then finally save and reload the page. There you go. So I have 2 there. Then I can really quickly scroll down to where the rest are. and I echo the rest like that. Here I'm going to do incomplete to-dos, and here I'm going to do complete to-dos. Right. So if I do that and refresh the page, now all my values will be added correctly, and I'm going to say span.count there, just in my CSS, to quickly give it some values. Dot count. I'm going to say padding inline of let's just put npx. That will quickly give it a hard reload the page. There you go. Except now you can't be able to switch between all complete and incomplete. But I believe so far so good. For you to watch the second part where I switch between all complete and incomplete, kindly join me or wait for a release of the same where I quickly finish on this. Thank you for following through to this point, and if I did some things wrong, maybe point them out in the comments so that next I won't do the same mistake, and I will have a working code for you. So the last part, I think I rushed over here, so maybe let me go back to quickly show you something. So this is the SQL statement we used, where we did select l.star count. Here we are going to count the total to-dos, count the incomplete to-dos based on some filter from lists left join to-dos on t.list key, where l.id equals to another list key grouped by the ID. So instead of, you can even do l.id, believe, reload the page. Yeah, this should why are you not switching pages? Yeah, you should switch pages quickly. I'm not sure why it's taking like ages to switch between. Oh, I have to click on a given link like that. Okay, you have to click on the name. I think my CSS is CSSing me here. So that's how you do it. I believe it has been a good check on SQL and the PHP besides the CSS and between the CSS and HTML. So I think you have learned a lot. If you have done so, don't forget to share this video, and don't forget to come back for the other part where we do all incomplete and complete, and maybe even do use authentication, login, logout, and all that's nice stuff. So don't miss out. Thank you for joining, and thank you for watching through this point. Have a good day in coding.